So the Blues became a franchise in 1967 when the National Hockey League expanded to 12 teams. After much discussion, they were named after the orchestra W.C. Handy, and they were called the St. Louis Blues.
The Blues have been around for 57 total seasons and have made the playoffs 46 times, only missing the playoffs 11 times. The Blues beat the Boston Bruins in 7 games in 2019, making them their first Stanley Cup victory. The Blues rivals the Chicago Blackhawks. They have many famous players and Hall of Fame hockey players, such as Bernie Federko, Bob Plager, Chris Pronger, and Keith Tkachuk.
Right up here, Al McGinnis. 10 season with the Blues, 1994 to 2004. And he got inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2007. Right here, looking at Chris Pronger, served for the Blues for 9 seasons. And in 2015, he got inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame.
We have Brett Hull, number 16, also known as the Golden Brett. Played for the Blues for 11 seasons and was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2009. We got number 24, Bernie Federko. He played for the Blues for 13 seasons and was inducted to the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2002. All right, Wyatt, what we got?
Burnt end sandwich from, I forgot where it was.
Sugar Fire.
Sugar Fire.
All right. Is it good?
9.5 out of 10.
I love it. I love it.
All right, Shrewd, what are we eating today?
We got session taco. Let's try it.
Big bite, big bite.
10 out of 10.
Love it. So the Blues' first owner was Sid Solomon Jr., which was then later sold to the Purina Company, and then later sold on to someone in Saskatchewan, which would mean relocation for the Blues. This plan was quickly put to a halt by Harry Ornest, who bought the team back, and he was a linesman in the NHL, and he wanted to keep the team in St. Louis.
In 1986, Michael F. Shanahan bought the Blues. Later, in 1999, the Blues would be sold to the Lorries, which did not go very well. After a long 6 years, the Blues were finally sold to General Sports. Today, the Blues are owned by SLB Acquisition Holdings that is led by Tom Stillman.
In franchise history, the Blues have had 4 arena names. It started with the Kiel Center, and then the Savage Center, and then from 2006 to 2018, which was the longest span, was the Scottrade Center, and from 2018 to present day is the Enterprise Center.
Nice. Today, Enterprise holds 22,000 Blues fans. The building consists of 12 stories of mostly glass and concrete. During the off-season when the Blues aren't playing, it holds concerts, ice shows, and recently the NCAA College Hockey Finals. Some of their most famous games, obvious one, they beat the Boston Bruins 4-1 in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, winning them their first Stanley Cup championship. Another one is being down 5-2 in 1986 versus the Calgary Flames when they came back and beat them in overtime after being down 5-2 and scoring 4 goals in less than 10 minutes. The other one is beating the Dallas Stars 2-1 in the 3rd round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, bringing them to the Stanley Cup Finals versus the Boston Bruins.
All right, Paulie, are they going?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, you're good. Thanks, guys.
You know you're good.
So we're with Mr. Kerber. Do you want to tell us what you do for the St. Louis Blues?
I do the broadcasting on the radio. I do play-by-play on the radio.
Cool. I know St. Louis is your home now. Have you always been a Blues fan?
I have. Grew up in St. Louis. It's hard not to be a sports fan. And the cool thing about the St. Louis Blues, or at least my year, so I'm 53, right? I was born in 1971. The Blues came to St. Louis in 1967. 67, 68 was their first year with the franchise. So my generation was really the first one where an NHL team was a part of everything, was a part of every day, right? You know, the generation before, you didn't have the NHL here in town and stuff. So in that sense it is. So that's, yeah, Blues fan, Cardinal fan, football Cardinal fan too.
So this was your dream come true, was to announce for your favorite team?
Yeah, you know what? I thought originally, I thought I was gonna maybe do baseball.
Really?
Yeah, I knew I wanted to be a broadcaster. And in college, I did all the different sports, right? And honestly, when I graduated in May, and that's when hockey seasons had ended and hockey teams were looking for broadcasters, so I threw some tapes out there, got a job down in Birmingham, Alabama, and then moved to Springfield, Massachusetts. And after 6 years in the minor leagues, back in 2000, moved home. So I guess in some sense I would tell you that hockey kind of picked me maybe more than I picked it.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome.
Like
you
that.
get to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But listen, but that's the thing. Like you know, you go to college, you do everything you can. Do baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer, anything you could do, right? Just to practice.
Yeah.
You don't know where life's going to take you.
yeah.
Oh,
That's cool. That's really cool. You got to grow up here, and now you're announcing your favorite hockey match. That's super cool.
Well, Mr. Kerber, you travel a lot, you go with the team. You've been to a lot of other NHL cities. What makes St. Louis so special?
Okay, take that back. He's got some pipes. He just hasn't let them out yet.
Yeah.
What makes St. Louis special? Well, you know what, guys? Remember when we were looking at the retired numbers, and I told you how the history, the retired numbers tell a different history of the St. Louis Blues than maybe retired numbers of other teams where it's just the greats of the greats. I think what makes St. Louis special is the fact that it is community. You know, I can promise you, it's one of the most charitable regions in the country. The way people give, whether it be through money, through time, you know, what have you. But it's also close-knit. Midwest values, friendly people. You say hi to somebody when you walk past them on the street. You hold the door open, and that's what kind of makes it special. And I think, honestly, if there is a sports team in town that really epitomizes just the heart of what this city and what the Midwest is, it's the Blues.
As we went through towards the alumni locker room, why do you think that we talked about retired numbers, how they value those players, not just because they were Hall of Fame or really good hockey players, but who they were as people? Why do you believe that those alumni players and those previous Blues stay residents to St. Louis?
Great question. And the reason is because of your previous question. What makes this city great?
Yeah.
What makes this community great? It's the people.
Okay.
And when the St. Louis Blues alumni group, all the guys that have played for the Blues, some may have only played a handful of games, some played 10 years, right? They stayed because of the city. They could have gone anywhere.
Yeah.
They could have gone back home. Could have gone where they grew up. They've stayed. You know, Bernie Federko has made this his home since the day he got here in the 70s. You know, and he's a true Blue Hall of Famer. It's the community, the way it made people feel. They feel part of it. They feel connected to it. Somebody like a current Blue, Cam Fowler, has already felt that. You know, other guys like David Backus doesn't live here right now, but he's talked about, at some point, maybe when he's done in Southern California, it might be where he wants to even settle in. Guys like that have said those kind of things. And you know what proves that? I believe the Blues have, if not the largest, it's got to be the second largest active alumni group in terms of number of former players that have stayed in the city than any other city in the league.
That's
Consider some of those other cities, right? Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a great tie-in to what your question was about, just why this place is so great.
Where did Bring Out the Zamboni come from?
Okay, so that's the call I use after the Blues win. All right, I was doing a game down in Birmingham, Alabama for the Birmingham Bulls. My first year ever of pro hockey. Okay, so this was the 94-95 season. And a player by the name of Ole Jenstad, K-J-E-N-S-T-A-D, right? Ole Jenstad lives up in Canada now, okay? All right, and I actually have a picture on my wall in my office of Ole scoring a goal. I don't know if the goal that he scored led to this one. The one that I have a picture of led to this, but game goes into overtime. On the right end, the Zamboni came out with the doors like the doors at the end, like in some arenas, okay? So if you're facing the rink on the right end, the Zamboni is kind of parked behind the glass. So if you look to the right, you see the Zamboni doors, and you can see the Zamboni parked right behind the glass, right? In overtime, Ole Jenstad gets the puck in our own defensive zone, skates through the neutral zone, curls around one guy, gets it into the offensive zone, works it through, and bang, puts it in. So I call the overtime goal, probably way loud, probably way out of control, like a young broadcaster would be. And I said, and you can bring out that Zamboni and circle it all over the ice. And that was how it got started. It was an overtime goal by Ole Genstedt. And then from there, I'm like, okay, you can't say that's a winner. How do you maybe close it out differently? And from that point on, anytime the team won, I just said, bring out the Zamboni.
Wow.
And that's how it started. So then it stuck into my second job in the minors in Springfield, Massachusetts. I had one of the owners actually come up to me and say, I don't really know that I like that call.
Really?
I think I'm going to stick with it. He goes, it's your call. And then when I left, they actually gave me a little plaque that said it, so he liked it in the end. And,
Yeah.
and then we've said it here. So that's where that call came from.
Does he know that his goal started that?
You know what? I think sometime in the last couple of years, somehow like his name and my name came up on Facebook, right? So I think I sent them a note.
Yeah.
I told him that.
That's
But I don't know that I've ever actually talked to him about that at that point. Because it, like, when you're first using it, you don't think much of it.
Yeah.
Then here it is 30 years later and you're still using it.
Wow. That's.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
I would never. I would go. It had to start from somewhere, but no, that's such a cool
That's
story.
sort of kind of organic.
Yeah.
Carry it through teams
That-
too.
If you listen to broadcasting guys, if you force something, it doesn't work.
Really?
Things got to be organic.
Okay. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's all the questions.
Good luck editing this massive piece together.
They're gonna love it though. This has been
Yeah.
awesome. I mean, it's only 27 minutes.
That's not too
Jot
bad.
that down a little bit.
Yeah, just a little.
Use the editing skills.
Nice job, guys.
Thanks so much, Mr. Kerber, for
Yeah,
joining us
thank
today.
you, Mr. Kerber.
You got it, guys.
This has
Good
been
luck.
Awesome. No, thank you so much for doing this.
Yep.
I know you're super busy, and hopefully they
Just remember,
finish.
cold Ferrados ravioli.
Eat in the
Right,
freezer.
yeah.
Eat it
Not in the freezer, in the
Oh, in the
refrigerator.
refrigerator.
You don't want to break your teeth. You don't want it in an ice cube. You want it in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Cold
Right.
sauce in the morning.
Cold sauce, meat sauce.
Meat sauce in the morning.
Meat sauce.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you again.
You got it.
Awesome.
All right,
This
guys,
has been
thank you.
awesome.
Notes
Yep.
in 7.
Yeah, notes in 7. The St. Louis Blues have had many jerseys throughout the years. From when they began in 1967 to 1984, the classic blue and gold with the original Blue Note logo and white stripes was introduced. In 1984 to 1995, dark blue was added with red accents. From 1995 to 1998, bold design with heavy red and trumpet logos were added on the shoulders. From 2007 to 2017, the Reebok era with a modern striping and alternate jersey with a navy jersey. From 2017 to 2024, the Adidas era took over, a cleaner look, sustainable materials, and better looks for the athletes. From 2024 to present, Fanatics era begins with expected updates from today. Specials are the Heritage Classic, Reverse Retro, and the 90s throwbacks that included blue, yellow, and red in all jerseys.